Hello, Critical here. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah for my Muslim sister viewers. This is just a very quick rant, not a proper well thought out talk or anything, deep. I sort of came to verbal blows today with a sister on her site, and it's her site, so she can choose what's on there. Perhaps I should have been more polite, really. And she was kind of discouraging very strongly sisters putting up stories of their bad marriages or what their husbands have done to them, or going on a rant about men and all the rest of it. And she said a few words. Maybe she just hadn't thought the words through that she used and the effect that would have upon someone who's been through abuse. But sort of telling someone, go and get counselling and you need to move on, and somebody else kind of like added in their little bit and said, sisters shouldn't backbite and all the rest of it. It got my goat. It really annoyed me, and it was some of the reasons why. I don't know what to say. I haven't written anything down, prepared anything. When I was in an abusive marriage, and even before that, when I was just in a terrible marriage, that was abusive on a lot of levels, but he would never hit a woman. It's not him. One of the things would be that you would try and get help and go to a student of knowledge or a scholar. And first of all, there is the barrier of how do you get hold of them? Because it means asking someone for their number or asking someone how to get hold of them, and people aren't always happy to give out scholars and students of knowledge's numbers without a good reason. And if you are an abused woman and in a domestic violence relationship, or just in a really, really disgusting marriage, they keep control over you. That's the first thing. You don't get to talk to people without their permission. In my case, I was pretty much locked in my house, and he would take my bank card with him. If he got the instinct that I was planning to leave, he would literally phone me up every single 10 minutes just to check that I'm still in the house. The consequence of which, Croydon Central was at my house at the time, 10 minutes walk away, literally 10 minutes walk from my house. I didn't know how to go to Croydon and what way to take, because I was kept in the house and wasn't allowed out without his permission at all. And my friend was very shocked when she realised this, that I didn't know what way to go. Anytime I went out, it was in his car. He took me places, he brought me back. And the violence, I have to say, the violence has affected me my whole life. What I went through in that short period of time that I was with him, I thought I'd gotten over it when I left, and I thought I'd bounce back. And I did have a lot of unjustified anger against men, and turned into a bit of a bitch for a while. I'm not like that anymore, thank God. But what I found was they stuck together, these Muslim men, and this is what disgusted my family more than anything. It wasn't just how badly he treated me, and it was everything they thought that an Islamic marriage would be, and they thought, she's going to be really oppressed, and how these Muslims treat their women, and la la la, and it all came true. And he cut my connections with my family, and so did the husband before that. He's apologised since to me, and I've apologised to him for both of our bad behaviour. He's a good person, And I found that, the talks and things that people are giving, were giving at the time, it was very much focused on the books as well that were coming out, very much focused on the woman's obligations. Just a quick, anecdote. It was one Eid, and I was really practising properly at the time, so it was very important for me to attend the Eid prayer. You must attend. Since then I don't. But he punched me in the face the day before and left me with a big black eye. And I had this booklet around the house called, The Righteous Wife. And it's just full of the most obscure hadiths that kind of just completely strongly focus on the woman's obligations. And I was crying my eyes out, and I tore it a little bit. I wouldn't tear it all the way through because I was scared, the punishment, Allah might punish me. And then that was used, oh, you tore that book, you know, you're not a good Muslim. And my first marriage as well was interfered with by these so-called scholars, by these so-called imams of masjids. And speaking to sisters that I know from back then, who since then are having trouble practicing Islam, just as I am, one of them has said, you know, that particular person has got a lot to answer for. And they do. You know, I tried to get a question once to a student of knowledge, and the brother passed the question back to my husband, recognising my handwriting, recognising it was for me, because there weren't many sisters in the masjid at the time. And what I went through that night, I wasn't going to tell you, maybe I'll tell you. I mean, he made me kneel down in front of him, like I'm kneeling down now, and punched me, only where it wouldn't show, because my hijab was covering it. So boom, 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 and made me stay still. If I'd gotten up or tried to run away, it would have been worse for me. And that's what I got for trying to ask a question in a desperate situation. So I understand that the sister doesn't want rants on her page, and not all Muslim men are like this. And for you young sisters looking for marriage, you know, maybe you'll be really happy, especially with these young brothers who were brought up in, you know, this country, and you know, it might be wonderful for you. And I myself, I still believe that inshallah ta'ala, if Allah answers my du'as, I'm going to be married and I'm going to be happy someday, and he will be a Muslim, and that's that, inshallah. So that's fine. But the whole backbiting thing was used against me and used against other sisters. Oh, you know, sister, I really can't listen to that because that's backbiting. It's the same thing when you know, I had a sister that used to come up to me before I was friends with, and she was like, I heard that you said this and this and this, and I heard this about you. And I'd be like, it would be so out there and so bizarre and so untrue. I'd be like, but who did you hear that from? Oh no, I can't tell you, sister, because that's backbiting. You know, it's the same thing, but it's worse, because children and women get hurt in these situations with violence and with other issues. And I'm not going to shut up about it. I'm not going to be quieted by, oh, this isn't a good impression to give of Muslims. You know, I mean, many people out there hate Muslims anyway, and they'll pick up on the slightest thing to hate us for. Okay, of course all not Muslims are not like this, but we have a big problem in our community with women being treated like crap. And this was not the way of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But the point is, they will try and make you feel that it was. And they will use obscure hadiths, or this hadith, or they will use this kind of knowledge, or they will focus on what the woman has to do and all these things. And you get left feeling, really honestly feeling, and then you're being told by sisters to be quiet because you're backbiting about your husband. Oh, you know, you need to obey your husband, sister. All that. You're being told to shut up. Just shut up. No, don't shut up. We need to think about this. We need to do something about this. It's a serious issue. It's not from Islam, but it took me years to learn that. I left kind of Islam with everything I'd gone through. You know, I was being thrown out of cars. He beat my daughter. This man was evil and dangerous and had a gun. You know, I'm not going to say his name, and he's changed his name since then, so I'm not backbiting. This was the situation I was in. He threatened my close relatives and threatened to kill them and all the rest of it. I was terrified of this man, and at the same time, I was becoming very mentally unwell. And all the experts, when I went through court and all the rest of it, none of them picked up on the fact that I'm schizophrenic and, well, schizo affective disorder, and that I had that, and that I was becoming very unwell. Everyone just wants to blame the woman, blame the woman, blame the woman, blame the woman. But what about what these men are doing? And what about the support they're getting for this by men who come from foreign countries, foreign cultures, don't understand the culture over here, don't understand what's really going on, don't get to speak to the women to really hear their points of view, and get told, oh yeah, our wives are very obedient, can you do a talk about that, you know, Aki, can you know, all this crap. It drives people away from Islam, and that's the worst thing. The worst thing about all of this, and there are many bad things about this, it poisoned my view of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So for years afterwards, when I prayed, I would pray to God, oh please God, oh God of Jesus, God that Jesus prayed to. I couldn't say Allah, because that had become this scary Old Testament punishing God for me. And it took me years to kind of overcome this and pray a lot and get close again and renew my faith and all the rest of it. And it's kind of ruined my life, ruined my children's lives. And there are many other sisters out there going through the same thing. And this is my rant. You know, maybe I'll try and, you know, I remember being outside the masjid and he was trying to take my baby, my son, out of my arms. In the end, I had to let go because my son would have been hurt. And all the brothers surrounded me and made me go into the masjid to talk to him. I didn't want to talk to him. I wanted to call the police. No one would call the police for me. No, you must talk to him. These things that have happened, and worse, I haven't even told you the worst part at all. You know, all of this going on, I was pregnant most of the time. So, you know, I won't be quiet, and I'm not putting down every Muslim man, and I'm hopeful for happiness myself, inshallah ta'ala. But these things need to be said, they need to be acknowledged, they need to be dealt with, we need to face up to it. And don't tell a sister she's backbiting if she's confiding in you something that she can't say to anyone. Yes, some sisters do backbite about their husbands, that's their business. And don't tell a sister to be quiet or to move on or to go and get counselling or whatever, or to do this, you know, even if she's talking to you about something that happened years ago. Because the point of post-traumatic stress disorder, and in my last little YouTube thing, I spoke about the fact that most mental health problems are caused in some sense by domestic violence and by the experiences of violence. You know, this is something that can be with a person for years and will take specialist help for them to get over, and a lot of love and a lot of support, and maybe retelling their story quite a few times. So don't tell me to shut up. Okay, right, love to you, love to the sister who wrote the post that maybe I've gotten annoyed with, God bless her, and take care all of you. Okay, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, bye.